you ever seen this graph before? It shows the obstacles faced by organisations in the charity sector. Fraud and theft account for 4% of the challenges. Violence and conflict are the same. But here's what's hard to unsee. Funder-created obstacles account for 46%. Nearly half of all obstacles charity organisations encounter come from donors. Maybe that's you. It's definitely us. It's called the donor dysfunction.
Modern inventions were helping man to extend his control over space and time. Today, with the achievements of modern science, reaching every ear and eye with the speed of light, it is within the power of all of us to bring about a better way of life on this shrinking world.
Humans have always been an ambitious lot, compelled by curiosity, inspired by wonder, looking for good ideas to make the world a better place. But change takes more than a good idea. Oftentimes it takes research, hard work, trying again after failure, and then sometimes solving problems can actually create new ones. We started Thankyou passionate about changing the system for good, but it didn't take long before we uncovered problems, like when we arrived in Cambodia to visit a well we'd funded.
We were so excited to see the results and see this well that we had funded.
And then we saw 3 other wells with big charity logos on them. We thought, didn't this community need water? The first one was built during wet season, which meant it didn't work during the dry. The second resulted in arsenic poisoning. And the third, it needed repairing that cost more than actually building a new well.
All had been donated with the best of intentions, but they'd hurt more than they'd helped. And then there were the clothing drops in Africa. In the 80s and 90s, used clothing imports explained roughly 50% of the decline of employment in the African apparel industry. Again, there was no ill intention from anyone, but something that meant to help ended up hurting. And these aren't isolated examples.
In 2009, there was a study that showed in sub-Saharan Africa, 40% of all hand pumps were broken at any given time. That's 40% of wells that break within the first 4 years of installation. It represents an estimated loss of $1.2 billion over the last 20 years of investment.
This is all a result of that deeper problem, a donor dysfunction. That happens when us donors think we know best. When we bring our solutions without taking time to learn from those experiencing the problem, we can hurt more than we help. And since charities rely typically on donations, the donor, or you and I, we have a lot of power in deciding where we want our money to go and where it's best spent. But there's no way most of us are going to know all of the intricate details needed to make the best decision. And this is where the essence of the donor dysfunction starts to emerge. Donors know what they like. Simplicity, solutions and spending we can wrap our minds around. Impressive numbers, so we know lots of people are being helped. Activity reports, because lots of activity means lots of impact, right? Low overheads, or none preferably, so the money gets to those who need it. The thing is, development work isn't simple. Extreme poverty is highly complex and requires complex solutions. And big numbers doesn't always mean big impact. Reaching lots of people can come at the cost of deep and long-lasting impact. And the truth is, impact outcomes take years of research, and they aren't easy to quantify. And then there's the credit. Well, that belongs not to one, but to multiple organisations' work over many years. When it comes to low overheads, research shows there is no correlation between a charity's overhead percentages and its effectiveness. In other words, underpaid staff and administration limits don't equal a better result. For too long, it's like as donors we've paid for a friend's heart surgery and then told the surgeon how to best perform that heart surgery because it's our money. And this is the big difference between the commercial sector and the charity sector. Because in the commercial sector, shareholders buy into a company's vision, values, track record, and team. Shareholders hold companies accountable for their overall performance, and therefore, they trust the management team to operate the organisation in a manner they see fit. Not so in the charity sector. It runs on a tight leash, where actual effective root cause tackling solutions are so often constrained by donors. But there is hope. The world has identified 17 ambitious goals that will help lead to the eradication of extreme poverty. And yes, they're all interconnected and it's complex. It's going to take unprecedented levels of innovation, research, creativity, and never-before-seen strategies that might not always make sense to donors. And so at Thankyou, this is our mirror moment. Perhaps it's yours too. For too long, we've failed to identify one of the biggest issues: us, the donor. With good intentions, we naively tried to change the world our way. So 18 months ago, we announced changes at Thankyou. No more dictating our partners' administration spend. No more boardroom decisions about where the money can and can't be funded on the ground. And no more trying to tie our money to easy-to-understand solutions that translate into tangible marketing claims that make us feel good but limit our partners. And no more suffocating innovation with our restrictions. This is called Unrestricted Funding. And last year, we gave $8 million of unrestricted funding to carefully vetted, impactful change makers who are tackling complex systems change and root causes, not simplistic solutions, who are deeply focused on impact, not just activity, and who have proximity to issues and the people they serve. They are the true heroes, trailblazers, and pioneers. We, Thankyou, are not the first to see the problem of donor dysfunction and deal with it. We've joined a growing movement of people giving differently, and today you can too. There's a thread that runs through all of humanity. Humans create problems, but we solve them too. And together, we can back those who need support as they go all in on closing the last mile to end extreme poverty.